Welcome to the Relationship Astrology series, whereby I'm going through the synastry overlays between aspects of individuals' planets in respect to synastry. Today, we are exploring the moon in hard aspect with the moon. This is a fundamental aspect that we need to understand if we are in a relationship with another individual, particularly a romantic relationship and also parent and child relationship, because there is a lot of energies at play with this. So, when it comes to the moon takes 29 and a half days to orbit the zodiac. It rules over the sign of Cancer and it governs the fourth house of family and lineage and also our home. So when the moon is in hard aspect with another person's moon, this creates a deconstruction per se. It is something that can be navigated and mitigated in a relationship. It just depends on what other aspects you need to be able to fundamentally allow this to evolve. So please bear with me while we explore this, and this may be able to give you some information as to how to navigate the experience. However, I am an astrologer and I'd be happy to read your synastry chart if you are interested in doing so. Just jump on and click on the links on my YouTube channel. But when it comes to intimate relationships, this includes partnerships whereby they're romantic, also friendships, and of course, parent child relationship. The moon is an essential planet to consider because it rules over our feelings, our needs, and our sense of safety. It is essentially the way in which we express ourselves, express our affection, and express our love and care for one another. So, it's important to understand what we want and need from our partners and what they want and need from us in return. So, the moon also is a strong receptivity to our past and our unconscious behaviors, our relationship with our mother, the way our mother actually received us as well, and those fundamental undercurrents of our childhood. Therefore, when we enter into adulthood, we unconsciously seek the familiar, and the familiar is found in um, our moon sign in those sorts of territories. But the moon, in and of itself, is our capacity to trust, to be vulnerable, and to share on an emotional level. So, when the moon is in hard aspect, and so a hard aspect is an inconjunction or a quincunx, a semi square, and also a square. So these aspects are very much pertaining to how we evolve and our relationships, and also helping us become more self aware and mature. So, despite the fact that these are really hard, it does help us mitigate new issues with regards to the wider world because we are confronted with these issues on a more familial level, being that within our day to day relationships. So the moon itself occurs when the moon square the moon rather occurs when the moon is 90 degrees from one another, and that's as you can see here. So that would be when your moon and your partner's moon or your child's moon are both in either cardinal signs, fixed signs, at a 90-degree angle, or mutable signs. So, for example, in this case, Aries and Capricorn moons do not get along at the best of times because it creates a tension and a challenge. And there's this confrontational energy whereby these two emotional responses, because they are cardinal in nature or fixed in nature, or mutable in nature, they are kind of at odds with one another. And despite the fact that one's trying to seek some form of mutability in one way, the other sign is doing so in another way. So, for example, with regards to Capricorn, Capricorn's trying to create structure and pioneer a new path and foundationalize, excuse my terrible wording there, but create a foundation of growth and things like that within the practical matters of their relationship, whereas the Aries moon is more inclined to become more individualistic and remove themselves from the situation in a different way. So despite the fact that they're both using the same energies, they're going about it in very complex, deconstructed ways, and this creates a sense of miscommunication and defensiveness within the relationship, leading to frequent misunderstandings whereby there is this sense to project one another's emotional style onto each other, and therefore they're actually assuming to that the individual should act in a similar way, even though they are foundationally driven to act in a different way. So when we are faced with these emotional differences, there is a strong lead to exacerbating the situation or escalating the situation rather than resolving the situation. So while one partner might want to openly discuss their feelings, which would be true for a Cancer moon, the Aries moon, on the other hand, would be more inclined to just not worry about the emotionality of anything on any level unless there's some sort of drive or desire behind that, whether that be fighting or intimately coming together. There is a lot of growth in this aspect, in the square aspect, because there is availability to negotiate each other's emotional needs and therefore find common ground and compromise in the relationship. And like I said, that offers more availability to find resolve in the wider world and the wider structures as well. There is an availability for both of the partners to develop a really strong sense of self-awareness and empathy, just as along with awareness and empathy of the other as well. Now, the moon semi-square another moon, or also semi-sextile another moon, creates this underlying tension as well, because unlike the outright conflict of a square, a semi-square is actually creating this background undercurrent of discomfort and issues in regards to being able to articulate your needs, and therefore that creates this emotional misalignment. And in doing so, there is this feeling that something isn't quite right, and it's not available to be identified. However, it is present, and then there is a strong tendency for both partners to avoid discussing or addressing their feelings, and this further exacerbates the disillusion and deconstruction of the relationship over the long term, and therefore through such things as resentments and minor grievances accumulating over time. So there is this strong disconnective kind of energy. And despite the fact there is growth opportunities in this aspect, I find that this aspect is a little bit hard. Like, the square aspect is very hard to mitigate, and it's probably not ideal for a romantic relationship. Even though it is capable of being mitigated, I think long term it's not sustainable unless there is other positive aspects being played into this, whereby you've got Venus with the moon, or potentially even the sun with the moon. However, with this actual aspect, even with the semi-square or semi-sextile, there is this undercurrent of not knowing where you stand. So again, that over time will deconstruct, like I said, the relationship. Now, also another unideal hard aspect between two moons would be the inconjunction. So the inconjunction, or the quincunx, occurs when two celestial bodies are 150 degrees apart, just as you can see here. And this is indicating the need for adjustment. So I read a Synastry chart just recently, and two partners do have this aspect. However, the other partner has their sun conjunct the other person's moon. So this is able to mitigate it, because they have this symbiosis by way of their ego and their emotionality in Virgo, with the Virgo moon and the Virgo sun, as able to kind of evolve past the Aries moon conjunct the Virgo sun, if that makes any sense. So, however, on an emotional level, if you have this in and of itself, There is a strong expression of foreign emotional connection, and this highlights the need to adapt to each other's emotional styles, be able to confront challenges of feeling misunderstood and then mitigate them through acknowledgement and validation, and then also being able to find common ground through comforting the discomfort and the frustration that is underlying within the emotional undercurrents of the relationship itself. So, learning flexibility and encouraging both partners to be able to find flexibility within their emotions and within their ability to inherently gain emotional intelligence will help enhance the communication, promote new discussions, and then be able to foster this deeper mutual understanding of one another, and therefore find that common ground within the relationship. So, overall, hard aspects in and of themselves do not highlight a positive long term romantic interpersonal relationship. As a mother and child relationship or father and child relationship, this is very hard to mitigate as well, unless there's other aspects, which there would be. There would always be another aspect at play. Like I've got an Aries moon, but my daughter has a Virgo moon, so our emotional undercurrents aren't aligned. However, she has an Aries sun. So there is this mitigation, like I was referring to with the in conjunctions. There is always something with the mother and child relationship that is able to be withstood because of the fact that the child came from you. So you're able to find some common ground within, parent and child relationships. But when it does come to intimate relationships, it is an essential part to consider. So I hope that you find it within yourself to be able to validate one another, find common ground, and if you do want an astrology synastry reading, please feel free to reach out. Thank you, and I hope this has helped you on some level.